Hey everyone, the Mortgage Nerd here. Today we have a special interview with Audrey Ross of Compass Real Estate. She's been in business for a little longer than me, and we want to talk a little bit about her history as well as what she thinks about the market today. Audrey, thank you so much for being with me.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me. It's nice to be with you today.
You've been in real estate now since 2000.
Actually, it was in the early 80s.
Okay. Okay.
1984 is when I opened my own company. And I'd spent a couple of years before that with Casey Cousins. She was indeed the person who actually taught me real estate, if you will. Actually, a legend in her own right at the time. She ran the high-end real estate market in the lower part of Dade County, actually, around Coral Gables, South Miami. She lived in Sniper Creek and had Cousins Real Estate. She sold her business, was one of the first acquisitions by Merrill Lynch, and she was on the Federal Reserve Board. She was quite something. She was a force, if you will.
Gotcha. So have you always focused on the luxury market of Coral Gables in Miami?
Well, actually, I just started with anything, generally speaking, in real estate, just learning real estate with Casey Cousins, as I said. And really then got the bug for real estate, because the way I even got a license is my husband at the time suggested, since I wasn't thrilled with being a housewife. I've had many lives in my past, so to speak. I remarried. I was teaching at University of Miami as an adjunct professor, and went on a bike ride and met a man who was an amazing human being and a legend in his own right. He was an engineer, H.J. Ross Associates. He was older than I, but had participated, I think, in changing the face of Miami after the war, World War II. He came here and was stationed at Opelika Air Force Base. He had been in the Navy Corps of Engineers, and he and another fellow opened up an engineering business. And actually, Jack went on and bought out that business and became H.J. Ross, and did all the engineering on buildings in Miami, like the Doral, the Eden Rock, the Fontainebleau. So as Miami was booming at that time, and long story short, he had a great career and sold that business and met me on this my legendary bike ride through Gables Estates. I was on a date, and my new date took me to Jack's house for Coca-Cola. We met and started dating, fell in love, got married, and I became a housewife. I quit teaching because he had sold his company, and said, why don't we travel? So we traveled to London and New York to look at art, because that was his passion, in addition to engineering. And but I wasn't, he could tell, thrilled with being a housewife. So he said, why don't you help me sell some apartments that I've invested in out in Texas? So I got a license. He said, you know how to go to school? I went to school, got a license, and I loved it. And so I then wanted to really sell real estate. So I met Casey and started selling with her company. And then she sold the company to Merrill Lynch and became one of their first real estate acquisitions. And by this time, it was 1984, and I wanted to open my own company. So I did, Ross and Associates, and took a lot of commercial classes, with CCIM being my goal, and was just going to do commercial real estate. And then my neighbor in Gables Estates said, why don't you sell my house? So I did, and I thought, this is amazing. I loved it. There's a long other story behind that, but that put me into residential real estate. So from then on, I just did both residential and commercial. And the rest is history, as they say.
Awesome. That's a great story. Thank you very much for sharing. Now, you've received many accolades over the years, many awards as well. Which one would you say is the most important, that has the most meaning in your life? I mean, there was some with Vogue magazine and a bunch of real estate associations and everything. So which one would you feel is the most important to you?
I don't know. They're all very important to me because someone took time enough to look at what we'd done and say, hey, that's a good job, so everyone was important. I don't know how I could possibly single out just one, but I guess the Life Achievement Award from Who's Who in Luxury Real Estate, because I know so many of my colleagues in that organization, and to have those people who are truly giants in each of their markets say, good job, it really meant a lot, I think.
Yeah, I would think so. That sounds like a very good one, fulfilling when your peers at that level are
Sure.
definitely recognizing you. So I like
But
that
each,
one.
anytime anyone recognizes, each award was significant, and certainly I was grateful for it. It was just that particular award, in context of what you're asking, was really significant.
Awesome. Awesome. So you were in the business, of course, during the 2008 market crash, which I don't think we've seen anything like that before or since in our lifetimes, at least. How was it for you and your business, and how does that compare to what we're experiencing today?
Well, I'm not sure about the comparison per se, but it was certainly dramatic. When Lehman Brothers folded, everybody just, it was a shock. The whole series of events. In terms of my business, I was very fortunate because while other people are truly going out of business and closing shop, we were able to keep going. And I think primarily because of the South American business, I tongue in cheek say, no matter what's happening in the rest of the world, South America is Miami's life raft, because there's always, it seemingly from past, if past is prologue to the future, a country there that's in a little bit of trouble in terms of economics. And so many of the people who have the wealthier clientele in South America come to Miami. Miami is the first stop. So they come here and bring their money and seek a foothold here in times of trouble in their own country. So we've been very fortunate to have something going on in South America. So during that entire horrible series of events, it seems like Miami was the last to go down and the first to come back, primarily because of our South American business.
That's an interesting take for me. I've heard a lot of different stories behind how those succeeded through the market. Mine is one of them. I started in the mortgage business in 2005, and then the market crash came, and we pivoted to reverse mortgages at the time. While others were getting out, we were thriving. But I've heard a lot of realtors that were doing, BPOs and the REOs, selling the foreclosed properties, which was still challenging. But yeah, that's a great angle that you had during that market.
Yeah, and one other safeguard for us, or if you will, life raft, which I was using for the South Americans, is our website. I've had MiamiRealEstate.com is my own website since the beginning of the internet. And so no matter what's going on, if anybody's coming to Miami from anywhere that they're getting, and they're now on the internet, they will Google 3 words, Miami real estate, and eventually and shortly they get us. And so it's been really a wonderful activity for us to have that as lead generation for our own team. So that's been also wonderful.
Sure. Do you still have to optimize that? Have someone go in and make sure that it's hitting the top of the pages?
We have a team that does mans the website for us, but we get a few hundred leads every month.
Nice. Yeah, I do remember you talking about that as well at one of the events.
Yeah.
I know there's a gentleman that I've seen him on YouTube videos who's very innovative as well. And he talks about it. When the internet first came out, he bought things like hope.com and, just those one-word things that he sat on for years. And then all of a sudden someone's like, I want that. And they pay millions of dollars for that one word, domain name. So that's great of you to really have the insight and to take advantage of that when
Well,
you did.
it was just very actually fortuitous that I was in the right place at the right time and doing another side gig, lobbying in Washington. And one of the gentlemen there said, you know, Audrey, we have this new thing, the internet. Would you like an address? And he went on to explain to me, it's like a globe and you put a fishnet around it and every one of those little knots is going to be an address. What do you want for your address, you know? And I said, well, I don't know. I'd have gotten a real estate license, MiamiRealEstate.com, I guess. He said,
Yeah,
done. And he signed me a paper and gave it to me. And there you go. That's it.
that's
So
awesome.
that was kind of how it happened.
Well, you know what they say? They say luck is when preparation meets opportunity.
True, true.
If you weren't open-minded enough to say, yeah, let's do it, you know, and some will say, that's not going to be anything, and then they don't get that opportunity. So,
but I wish I'd said, by the way, may I also have Los Angeles Realestate.com and Chicago Realestate.com. I didn't have that foresight.
And then you could sell them all. But who knew? Who knew those would be an asset?
Possibly no one.
Yeah. All right, so finally, the real estate and mortgage market in particular has been a challenging one for many of us in the business now these last couple of years, 2022 and 2023, as mortgage rates seem to be beginning their decline. That's my point of view from my business since about October, November when they were at their peak. What do you see for real estate in 2024 and 2025 once we're in a more stable interest rate environment?
Well, you know, interestingly enough, because of the amazing positive publicity that Miami has been getting as the center of finance for many of the leading financiers of the world, I do believe we're going to be the happy recipient of people coming here from all over the world. In fact, we have just sold and closed a double-digit million house to a financier coming from Europe. So it's not just local people or people from other parts of the United States, but now we're internationally drawing people here who are setting up businesses here and opening offices. And I do think in this case, this deal was closed all cash in less than 2 weeks. So I think that we will be the happy recipients. My view is I'm thinking positively going forward of continued good business and even better business, because we'll also be picking up those people that are financing with mortgages because the rates are dropping. But I do believe we're looking for a really good year in 24 and 25.
Yeah, I think so too. And in your answer, it made me think of something else. The question that I get a lot of people say, you know, Miami, the values are going up so much, affordability is only getting worse. How is anyone going to be able to afford a property in Miami in the future? What's your answer to that?
Well, I believe that is to some extent true. You know, if you have occasion to go to Homestead, for instance, early morning, if you're going south, you can easily observe solid bumper to bumper traffic coming in from Homestead into Miami to work, where massive numbers of hundreds of people have moved south because it is not as affordable as it has been in the past. That is all very true. But at the same time, new buildings are going up. I think Lennar is building almost an entire little city in Homestead. And I think you'll see West Miami. I know I had occasion to go out there recently, and the Baptist Hospital center there is huge. So that is drawing a whole nother area of springing up into a larger residential area. So we do have these areas around Dade County that are really becoming even more developed and have more people living there primarily because of the affordability factor that you're alluding to. But in the same token, we have these hundreds and thousands of people moving into the city from all over the world. So it rather one more or less offsets the other, I think, to some extent. It is real, the affordability issue. But in the same token, we have so many other people coming into the city from all over until one rather balances out the other almost, I think.
Yeah, and you know, one of my degrees is in geography. I studied international relations, economics, and geography, and they talk about urban to suburban migration and vice versa. So you get a lot of people. I know people that have left Miami to Sarasota or other
Oh,
places in
yes,
Florida,
for sure,
and
for
you know,
sure.
so it's there's always that natural flow of
Ebb and
migration.
flow, I call it, the ebb and flow of the population
Yeah,
demographics.
exactly. And it's unfortunate for those that do have those types of careers where they don't make a lot of money. But hopefully they start to innovate or get paid more or whatever the case may be so that they can or get in early enough. I have people now talking about, oh, maybe now's not the right time. I said, now is way better than 6 months from now or a year from now when rates are lower and now you have more competition. But they fall into that fear, the sentiment in the market instead of making that decision.
And I think that it's interesting the people that are able to stay and made the investment, especially in the great locations, they're enjoying immense appreciation for their property. So that's to see that happening too is also a positive thing.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to
My
sit
pleasure.
with me.
Thank you for inviting me.
And have this interview. No,
Good
thanks.
to
And
see you again.
likewise, likewise.